nothing without intention. Do nothing without intention, okay?
Hello everyone, I am Leo, welcoming you back or welcoming you for the first time. This channel is all about Black Indigenous spirituality, surviving modernity and late-stage capitalism, radical self-sustainability, and body-mind alignment. So let's get into it. If you're watching this, you probably are already aware that October is Hoodoo Heritage Month. And as we get through and closer to the end, I thought it was the perfect time to do a video on how to do a hoodoo ritual. Rituals have been a part of Black and Afro-diasporic religious practice since the beginning of time. And they come in all shapes and sizes. They look all types of ways. You can incorporate rituals into your meal times. You can incorporate rituals into your dressing and doing your hair and your makeup. You can incorporate rituals into any aspect of your life that you wish. And of course, it is nice to have your day-to-day life be full of pomp and circumstance, but that's not the ultimate goal. When doing rituals, your ultimate goal is really to send out a treaty to the universe, God, the forces that be, to make something happen for you. A really good way to think about it is that when you do a ritual, you are providing a strong case or a strong package to your ancestors, who then can use that to entreaty the universe on your behalf. Everything that you do with intention is already a kind of magic or a kind of power, and rituals just give that little extra oomph behind the things you are already doing. Before I get into the how-to, I want to talk a little bit about this idea of magic. Now, this is the word that's commonly used when you're doing stuff like hoodoo rituals or any type of indigenous spirituality. There's generally an understanding that it's magic, which kind of makes it sound like it's frivolous and not real. I don't often think of it as magic. I think of it as a type of power that doesn't depend on a hierarchical societal structure to maintain itself. So when I say power, I'm referring to what many understand as magic. And a hoodoo's power lies in their ability to corral spiritual energies and entities to a specific intention. The better you are able to corral those entities that are beneficial to your purpose, the stronger your power will be. With everything our ancestors have gone through, they really had to make a way out of no way. And so a lot of their power was incorporated into day-to-day activities. That's how they entreated the universe, God, to come in and act on their behalf. And we must do the same. But I know you're dying to hear what to do and how to do it, so I'm gonna get right into it. The first step may not be so sexy, but it is the most important, and that is to pay attention. No one should be out here trying to do spells all willy-nilly, unfocused, not sure what their intention is. That's not how it should be done at all. You can get yourself into some real trouble doing that. So first and foremost, it's important to pay attention in your day-to-day life to see what you might need and what your ancestors are going to support. Paying attention allows you to develop the idea for the ritual that's going to drive it. If you don't have an idea, there is no ritual. Also, if your ancestors don't approve, there is no ritual, which brings us to step number 2, talk to them. Sit at your altar, speak with them, listen to what they're saying back. They have to sanction your moves when you are ready to make them. An easy way to think about it is like a lawyer, really. You would not go and do something if you were involved in a case or about to be involved in a case without consulting your lawyer. And the same is true of your ancestors. Learning to listen to them and to hear what they're saying for real is a whole separate skill that I'm going to talk about in a later video at some point. But let's just say that you have your relationship with them. They speak to you, you speak to them, you're feeding them, and you can tell what they're for and what they're definitely not for. So you've got your idea for your ritual, you've talked to your ancestors, they've given you the go ahead. Now it's time to divine. For folks who are less experienced practitioners, divination is often what is done kind of in the place of talking to one's ancestors. I have a really good relationship with mine, so I hear them really well. And so what ends up happening for me is that divination ends up confirming what I already knew to be true. But if you're not as experienced and you don't have that relationship yet, you definitely need to divine or get an experienced diviner to do a divination for you. So now you've divined the tools, whether they be cards, bones, water, a crystal ball. They've confirmed that you are in a good place and you are supposed to be doing this ritual now. Next, you gotta consult the stars. I know it's so many different things you gotta go through, but listen, this is how it's done. So looking to the stars, looking to the cosmos, that mostly is about timing. You wanna make sure that you're not getting ready to do a type of ritual or a type of working when the stars and the planets aren't in the most fortuitous place for it to manifest. You probably know that I'm talking about astrology. And yes, that has been used by indigenous religious practitioners forever. And in some sense, it was used by Hoodoo practitioners as well, but it's a little bit different than what we know of as astrology today. Oftentimes, traditional Hoodoo practice asks you to do rituals that manifest or bring things into your life during the morning or as the sun is coming up, and doing rituals that banish things, get rid of things from your life in the evening as the sun is going down. It's a very straightforward, cut and dry type of astrology. And we know that there are more complicated systems for deciding where the stars and the planets are, even though the contemporary models we've been left with are kind of watered down. So this is a choose your own adventure type of decision. A lot of our ancestors, to be quite honest, did not have the time to be waiting for Jupiter to be conjunct and all this other stuff. So they did it as soon as they could. Sometimes that meant doing it the next morning or the next evening. But in general, the stars help you decide a time to do your ritual that will allow it to be as powerful as it can be. All right, we're almost there. Say, for example, the ritual you've chosen to do is an uncrossing. An uncrossing is a traditional Hoodoo ritual that allows one to do away with any type of negative, bad luck energy that's stuck on them. This can be energy that like someone put on you or you put on yourself by talking down on yourself and not believing in yourself. And uncrossing was the very first real ritual that I did. And it's recommended because a lot of protection and prosperity work is recommended for when you are just starting out. You don't want to be trying to do hexes and stuff like that. You want to do protection work and you want to do work around abundance. So if you're just starting, an uncrossing would be a great way to go. And to do that, you need to gather certain materials. Basic materials for an uncrossing include a white candle, specific herbs, salt, and your bathtub or your shower. Whatever ritual you're doing, you need to start gathering those materials and make sure there's an intention behind it. Make sure you're touching them, make sure you're spending time with these materials. That helps you to develop a relationship with the forces that you are about to go to and ask for something. So you've got your materials and you've arrived to the day or the evening of the ritual. You want to begin with cleansing always. Cleanse your space, cleanse yourself, meditate, get your mind focused. It's all about being in the right space mentally and physically so that these things can come about the way that you want them to. You can take a bath as part of your cleansing, and you can also find that baths are often a part of different rituals. There are rituals that are just a bath, and they're perfectly good, perfectly operable rituals that anybody can do, and people should be doing more often, actually. Other types of cleansing include Florida water, different type of smudging of herbs. Be sure that you are checking into sustainability practices when you are gathering these materials. You don't want to do more harm where a lot of harm has already been done. Sticking with the example of an uncrossing, the uncrossing I did was a very long and energetically taxing bath that involved me using my herbs to basically scrub away at the negative energy that I felt clinging to me. It took a lot out of me, and that's how I knew it was going to work, and it did work. These things take energy. If you're doing something that's more extensive and you're not tired afterwards, you probably weren't doing much. So you've completed your ritual. There usually will be different closing actions that you can do. Throwing the water from the bath in a nearby body of water, setting something on fire, burying something in the ground. All of these different ways of closing your ritual have different meanings, and you want to make sure what you're doing is aligning with what you want to make happen. The real closing action, though, after you've done your ritual, is your actions, is how you return back to your day-to-day life. If you've just done it on crossing and you go hang out with somebody who you felt a lot of that negative energy you were trying to get rid of from, that is going to negate the whole thing. It's gonna make the whole thing pointless, basically. You want to always make sure that the actions you take immediately after closing your ritual reflect the changes you want spirit to bring into your life. And I'll give you a tip. The longer you can focus on that intention and on those actions in a concise way, the faster your magic is going to take hold and the longer it will stick. So that is your overview or your guide on how to do a hoodoo ritual. Many things are similar with other Afro-diasporic indigenous traditions. There are things that are similar with other indigenous traditions that aren't necessarily African-based. However, there are things specific to hoodoo as well, especially the communing with your ancestors and the watching how you interact with the earth as you gather your materials. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment if you are going to do a ritual anytime soon, or you've done one and you have things you want to share about the process. I'd love to hear what y'all are getting up to, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.